panelists, Peter Machado with all the seniority, Nijo, Joseph with all the legal input and the positives about where the money is and how it's going to be changing our landscape in the future. And Pawan with DNBGL, Pawan Sani, thank you so much for your time, effort.
The resilience of all of us in the face of this pandemic is something we all should be proud of. And though it is far from over, I'm a believer that the new normal will be better. With regards to our debate here today, in the post-COVID world, one of the silver lining will be the positive impact on the environment and carbon footprint. More meetings will be done remotely, and flying over for a 2-3 hours meeting will no longer be needed, as customers will not expect it. Typically, owners' representatives would fly in halfway across the world to witness a factory acceptance test. However, to do this remotely, as is being done now, will increasingly be the norm going forward.
COVID-19 will continue to present a wide range of human and economic challenges for some time to come. We have no finite date when we shall overcome this, but I believe we shall overcome. But we better get used to what is loosely termed, and as I just said, what is the new normal? What is the new way of doing things? In this initial address, I will attempt to break questions and answers into 4 sectors. First, the human aspect, whether it be physical, mental, psychological, or even mental health. Political, whether it should be aggressive or defensive. You hear things like, oh, this is the time to punish China. Is that really what we want? The economic fallout, major issues including long-term economic distress caused by prolonged recession. The crisis has devastated lives and livelihood. And finally, the increased use of higher technology, very necessary to be adapted. Can technology actually reduce costs and make operations more efficient, more effective?
People can view that these changes can be overwhelmingly negative or even as a disruption to the way that we, quote unquote, normally managed our businesses and our careers. But what we've seen is we've seen unprecedented innovation, rapid change management in virtually every single thing that we say or do or enact. This is something I think overwhelmingly is a positive that has come out from the COVID-19 situation. However, I've got basically 4 points to iterate where I feel the silver lining rests in.
But I think these are challenging times. One of the biggest things which has happened during these pandemic days is the lack of revenue, the lack of opportunity. However, having said that, one thing is clear, that an old conventional, old sea dog as we know it, probably may not be the ideal person to be hired in the future. Technology is overtaking us. We need people who can read data, people who can understand sensor information, people who are good at algorithms so that they can find the best way of analyzing, let's say, digital information received from ships and ship owners. So I think there is an opportunity, but to say that it will be the standard conventional naval architect or a marine engineer without, let's say, data skills or some IT technological skills thrown in, I think that would not happen. But yes, there will be change, and with change, there will be opportunities for employment for probably slightly different skilled people.
As a lawyer, I would say that I think we could use an infusion of fresh blood with fresh ideas, because I'm just reading the group chats on the sites, and certain questions are being posted, which is quite postmodern, I have to say. But for a lawyer who has been trained in the black arts, in the traditional sense, we might not be able to see beyond or the need for what the present industry demands or the present market demands. So always an infusion of youth and enthusiasm and fresh ideas would never stop. But that being said, Pawan's point of when there is a crunch in terms of revenue crunches, etc. The last thing that last thing that I would ask anybody to do is, if you're not sure of that hire to be sustainable, please don't make that hire in your enterprise. Let them go off and do it elsewhere, because you don't want to hire a person to fire him in short term. That's the worst thing that you can do.
Oh, the power of goodwill has always been there. It's a way of giving back to society, giving back to the industry. More important, the word I would use is empathy. I think without empathy, there's no caring. And I don't want to sound very old fashioned, but goodwill is essential to anything else. That's the way we sign off with best wishes, my kindest regards. I think it goes beyond saying. Sentiment is also something important, but more importantly, let me go to something relevant, which is basically humankind, mankind's tenacity when faced with a difficult situation, the resilience, the intelligence, the coming together. Uh, Believe Genie, for example, there was a thing with getting the larger companies into the same room as small and medium-sized companies. There was, without mentioning names, there was a lot of concern that, well, secrets or information would be carried from one company to the other company. Uh, that eventually did not happen to the extent it was feared and actually went away. Coming back, I think goodwill adds to taking a lot of well, saving us a lot of time, saving us a lot of money when you start with a positive attitude, positive mindset, and it is pointed towards finding solutions. What do they say? There are some people who look into a problem, into every solution, and I think taking that away makes a big difference.
Really, renewables is, I mean, people will take the cheaper option. And suddenly to use oil and oil products is even cheaper than before. So I would say this doesn't bode well, but I think what really helps all of us is that the IMO has come out with clear targets for greenhouse gas emissions reductions. I mean, and the world is looking at it. So beyond that, nothing more to add, Zarir.